ready, 39.
Number 1.
39.
1.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7.
6.
5.
4.
3.
2.
1. It's time for mouthwash. Giddy up.
Hi, and good evening, and welcome to Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics and the fastest growing show on the internet. And hey, we got a show for you tonight. We just sort of threw this thing together. It was supposed to be Andrew Horning and Mark Small, and we're going to talk about cash in the campaigns and how much cash has to do with campaigns. But that's going to get pushed back because, hey, guess what? We got some candidates coming on here that are actually vying for the empty Jackie Walorski seat, who tragically passed away with her and her staff, a couple staff members, in a tragic car wreck. And at this time, I want to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and put her picture up. And I want to have just a little bit of a moment of silence here in memory of Jackie, because this is just very unusual for us to lose a representative in this fashion and then have such a short turnaround, so that we have to find somebody to replace. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and put her picture up, and we'll have a moment of silence. All right. And then we also remember Emma Thompson and Zach Potts, who are staff members. Emma is from Pennsylvania and Zach is from Michigan. And again, it's such a tragic situation. But you know, there's laws and rules, and I would almost like to see in a tragic situation like this, you have a little bit more time. But what happens is there's a caucus, and I'm going to bring Adam Harvey on because this was his fine idea at the last minute at 5 o'clock yesterday. Hey, let's round these folks up and let's get them on. Let's get them on here. So we will get to that in a second. But I'm going to do a little bit of a little advertising for next week's show, and this one also is. Let's see here. This is our show next week is going to be about, let's see, Theodore Winters. He is an artist here in Speedway, and this is going to be this weekend. This is the tribute to Officer Noah Chavez, and he passed away. He was shot during a traffic stop, and you know, another tragedy of a young man that was living his dream. And Theodore Winters was painting this mural up at the Joiner's Hamburger Diner in Elwood, Indiana. And this is going to take place this Sunday. So if you're in the area or not in the area, drive up and have a look-see. And you can have a little. They're going to honor him in the community event. So I'm going to go ahead now and play that intro of this. And or actually, this is next week's show preview. So here you go. Wow. All right, so tune in next week for that. And then I believe we'll have Andrew Horning and Mark Small on the next week. So without any further ado, let's get this program started. So I'm going to bring on Adam Harvey, and he's going to talk about what the heck is a caucus, Adam?
Well, good evening, John. It's good to be here. Usually I'm here to do the tea time, but glad to give the explanation the best I can. What happens with these caucuses is when a candidate for a major political party, whether by death, resignation, or some other reason so close to the election, the party has to pick another nominee for the office. In this case, because of the tragedy and the proximity to the election, there will actually be a caucus to pick both who will fill the rest of Jackie's term in November and December, as well as who will start to serve in Congress in January or carry on for that next full term that's already being picked in the election. How the caucus will work is with multiple candidates running. In order for someone to secure the nomination for that office for the Republican Party, they will have to get 50% plus one of the votes of a little over 500 precinct committeemen that reside in Indiana's 2nd Congressional District. The winner of the caucus on those two different votes will then appear on the November general election ballot twice. Again, one for the rest of Jackie's term and the other for the next term in Congress.
Wow, that's it's just a little complicated, but really isn't it? So explain how the voting procedure will go. So at the caucus, say I'm a caucus person and I'm going to drive up to Mishawaka and I'm going to go to this caucus, and what am I going to expect there?
So there'll be a check-in process, of course, where they'll have to present, photo ID and make sure that everyone is who they say they are and eligible to participate in the process. And then what's going to happen likely is that each of the candidates that are running for the office will have a chance to speak, give their speech before the delegates, and then there will be as little as one, but as many as probably 5 or 6 rounds of voting where they will keep doing rounds of voting until someone gets over 50%. With that many people running, it's likely that it'll cut so many ways that you won't have anyone there after a first or second ballot. So if it happens that no one has a majority of the votes, the person who gets the least votes will drop from the process, and then everyone will vote again just with the other candidates remaining. And that process will rinse repeat until someone has more than 50%.
Yeah, so Slick Witty asked how many delegates. You said around 500 in that district. So it pertains to that district. So, and I know Ed is a little slow getting on tonight. I know he works a little late, so he's going to be, but he actually lives in this district up there, South Bend, Elkhart area. So, all right, Adam. Hey, thanks for getting us into this mess, and we'll see how it goes. So I see at least 2 candidates backstage. So hopefully we'll get the others in here soon, and we'll go there. But it looks like Kurt Nicely drew the short straw, so he's going to be coming up first. But I'm going to go ahead and bring on the panel, and we appreciate you telling us about the caucus. So
looking forward to hearing from all the candidates tonight. With this caucus happening on such short notice, I hope that all the others can come in and join us and give their answers to the questions too, because this might be almost the only opportunity besides the caucus itself for anyone who watches the recording of the show to see everyone in one spot.
Yeah, and my thing is, if you can't access your representative or your politician, and then what good are they? So I appreciate that people are taking time to come on here, but you're right. It's already TikTok. It's Tuesday. It's only a few more days, and I guess you can still sign up if you want to by noon tomorrow, something like that. So there'll be some more. Come on. So all right, Adam, thank you, and I'm gonna bring the panel on. What we have here, let's see. We got Tiffany. Are you ready, Tiffany? And that. So let's get it this way. Yeah, there you go. I don't like
I'm
that.
here.
Yay. Lucy, you're here. All right, you're going to have to explain your background to everyone.
This is just me demonstrating once again that the Illuminati is real and it's trying to control all of us, but it's doing a poor job of controlling me, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a tall order. So Tiffany, how are you this evening?
I'm doing fantastic.
All right.
I'm sorry I was not backstage earlier. I was in a meeting, then I was on a call, but I'm here now, so I'm excited.
And I see Ed coming in. So look, the
Hey,
gang's
wait a
all
minute.
here.
You interrupted my apology.
I'm sorry.
That was a sincere apology, and you interrupted it because
I'm a
Ed's
horrible
here.
host.
Oh my,
I should be
Ed's here.
fired.
Oh my God, everybody, Ed's here. Oh my gosh, Ed's here. Stop what you're doing.
I can tell we're off to a great start. I like bumbled through the whole intro of this show, trying to juggle. We have more than one guest involved. It gets my pea-sized brain. I have to use both sides of it, on the deal. So Ed, how you doing? This is your district. What are you? You excited about asking some questions tonight? Some really stumpers, some hard questions.
I'm excited to talk to the candidates. This is my district. I know, I not personally, but I'm aware of who everybody is, and I'm really interested to hear from them. So yeah, I am looking forward to it.
Well, let's get to it. We're going to bring on Mr. Nicely first because he drew the short straw at the end. We played the Price is Right game. I say pick a number between 1 and 100, and Tiernan picked, and Kurt picked the wrong other way, so he was one off. It's like Price is Right when you went $1,000. Somebody bets 1,001, and then they win, but it didn't work out for Kurt. So here he is. We're going to bring him on and put him on the hot seat. You go up there, I go there, and let me encourage anybody in the audience that if you have a question, then put it up there and we'll ask it. But we're going to try to go through one question each, and we'll see who else we end up getting on here. But Mr. Nicely, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, really good. Good to see you, John. Panelists, everyone out in Mouthwash land.
Yeah,
good to see you all again.
It's great to be. You are a veteran. You've been on at least a couple times, and we actually had you and John Jacob scheduled to come on at some point to, give your parting comments from the Indiana House for now. Because that means, you can always go back again, right? If you want to, but hopefully you'll move on to this one. So let's go ahead and we'll start out the questions with Lucy because I know she's going to we'll get the tough one out of the way. Maybe. I don't know, Ed might have a tough one too.
Green rectangles.
Yeah, the green rectangle with the eyeball in it. Go ahead, ask questions.
Yeah, triangles are nice. It's always the Illuminati. Kurt, I'm just really curious about how this process works, and does this give us hope that you can represent Hoosiers again?
Well, it's going to be up to the 500 some plus precinct committeemen, but we're making the case to them. We're talking to them, and it's gonna make them. It's their decision to make. So I've learned in my years in the state house that it's worth it to stand on principle even when it's tough, even if you have to stand by yourself. The times, there's been a few times when I've had to stand on my own, and it is amazing what you can accomplish. It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. So anyway, this looking forward to continuing discussions with the precinct committeemen over the next few days here.
Well, you have one fan here. You have Linda Hartman, and I don't know what's yeah. Is she actually a delegate? Or I mean, not a delegate, a precinct committeeman? And now, did the vices get a vote as well? The vice, or is this just a precinct?
If a precinct committeeman can't make it, then they can have assigned their vice committeeman as proxy for them. So
but
one or the other. But not
okay. I know that there's different rules and things. And I'm remiss. I don't know if I've fallen down and hit my head today, but you didn't get a chance to give your, who you are, why you're running, and fun fact.
Hey, but Lucy got to ask me the first question.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm like the nutty professor tonight. I don't know what's the matter with me. So there you go. Go ahead and answer those or fill in those 3 questions there.
Okay, so what am I supposed to be saying now?
A little bit of your background,
Who you are,
why you want to run, and a fun fact about you that maybe nobody knows. I don't know.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm Kurt Isley. I am a current state representative. I've been a state representative for the last 8 years. I represent House District 22 in northern Indiana, representing northern Kosciuszko County and southern Elkhart County. My wife was my wife was the Republican county chairman in Elkhart County when we lived in Elkhart County about 10 years ago. We moved into Kosciuszko County 4 years ago, and hey, there she is. Hi, Mary. And we were really enjoying Kosciuszko County here. So, okay.
What was the other question?
What's the second question?
Why are you running? Why do you want to go to Washington D.C.? That's a real question.
So, and I think I've alluded to this already, that over the last 8 years, I have found that it's worth standing on principle. When you stand on principle, people respect it. People appreciate somebody who will just stand up for the right thing. So that's what I have learned over the last 8 years. That's who I am. We could talk about limiting the federal government to the things that are given to them by the Constitution. We could talk a lot about a bunch of other things, and so I welcome all those questions as we go through this. And then the third thing was an interesting fact, or was it a fun fact about yourself?
Either one. We're not gonna fret over what that is. And I'm sure you got both of those. And I know.
Well, fun fact here. I have 28 brothers and sisters. 23 foster brothers and sisters. 2 adopted sisters, 3 brothers and sisters by birth, biological. So, yes, we have, and it's really been fun in the age of Facebook here to connect with my foster brothers and sisters that I would have seen for years. Many of them for one of them was probably 30 years that we just saw. I met her last summer. So, yes, it is really cool in the age of technology to be able to meet up with my long lost brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Well, that's a nicely sized family.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, hold on I got to do a bad dad joke for one of my Twitter friends. This is the Harrison Project, and Tiffany's shaking her head already. He's supposed to be up in Hamilton County. I think that's where he lives, but he's afraid to tell who he is, but he's afraid that Trump supporters will burn his house down or they'll come get him. So I said, he said this would be a good comedy tonight. And so I'm like, oh, okay, that's really nice. Now he's a Democrat, so I get it. I no offense at it. But so I told him if it's comedy, then I'll tell him a bad dad joke. So I'm going to go ahead and tell the bad dad joke. Did you hear about the sod farmer that won the mayor's, or let's say that won the U.S. House? Do you know what type of campaign he ran? I know that's terrible. Well, it was a grassroots effort. So there you go. That's our comedy for tonight. And we'll dry the veal, and I'm here all night. So Tiffany, your question is next.
Sure. So Kurt, just imagine where you are right now with the opportunity to go to DC and represent Hoosiers. And I just think it's very unfortunate, but a different turn of events. And you never know, what's going to happen in life. Tomorrow's always a gift. So we have the opportunity, I'll be biblical, to put new wine in a new wineskin. So yeah, I think I might have gotten that wrong, but this is a new wineskin kind of opportunity. And so, and you also mentioned about standing alone and some of your experiences down at the State House. And as you look forward to representing Hoosiers, do Hoosiers get the best representation at a national level if you're standing alone on convictions, or if you're able to be in DC and find some allies and get some things passed? So what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I already have allies in DC. I've already been endorsed by Congressman Thomas Massey from Kentucky. He's been my favorite senator for a long time. And yes, and with the House Freedom Caucus, there's I think I'm going to walk in with lots of allies in Washington DC. So I'm looking forward to that.
So it'll be a little bit different than the State House, where you have it took you how long to get somebody to second something?
We were building that Freedom Caucus in the State House, and in DC it's already established there.
Ooh, follow-up question.
Go ahead.
So, what are some things that you'd like to accomplish at the national level? What are you thinking? What would you be championing?
Okay, well, the federal limited government. The federal government's supposed to do about 20 things. Just read the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, spells out what the federal government's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to do those things. It's supposed to do those things well, and I want the federal government to do those things well. They have to do with currency and immigration and patents and weights and measures and international operations, relations between the states. Those are the things. So, the two big things right now are our currency with inflation. It's not stable right now. And so getting our currency under control, getting our national debt under control is big. And then immigration is a big thing. It's the federal government, they should do immigration. They should do it well. And they have not been doing it well. And you can see that on the crisis at the border right now. So, those are some things that the federal government should be doing and doing well.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a long list of stuff that needs help. And, that is definitely something that is putting a burden on our society. And even the folks that are coming here illegally, they still work, they still live here, they still buy out, they still do a lot of things, yet they're not legal. So that's a tough one to get on there. So, okay, Ed, you've patiently waited for your time. I see wheels turning there. I see them.
Yeah. So congratulations, and look forward to seeing. I have a two-part question. First part has to do with we say you're outgoing in the State House right now, and that had a lot to do with your own party. And so I have a question. The first part there is, how is that looking with your local, those local delegates to get them voting, for you? Like, do you think you have a real shot here? And the second part of it being that principled part, as a Democrat, being in this district, kind of asking, what can I expect from you? Because I mean, it's one thing to get here, but there's going to be a long term down the road. You got to run again and everything else. So what can I expect from you?
Okay. Well, the first question, with the redistricting with the new maps, I was put into a district with another sitting representative, and the people of the district, the voters in the primary, they made their decision. And so, and I was kind of shocked on election night. I'd been knocking doors. I thought I was doing pretty good, but election night, the numbers came in, and you know what? I was okay with it. And actually been kind of happy and free for the last few weeks here. But that being said, in Indiana, well, because I did not win that primary in May, that makes me eligible to run in this caucus this weekend. You can't be on the ballot twice for two different offices in Indiana. So, it really just opened the door for this when this happened. It's very unfortunate what happened, but it is a door that opened for us. And so that's why we're walking through here. What to expect, you as a Democrat living in this district, what would you expect from me? Well, I have always sought, my top priority was always to represent the people of my district. And, if you would talk to, say, the Democrats in my district here, I think you would, there's things we definitely don't agree on, but they would say that I was a decent representative, considering I'm a Republican and they're Democrats. In fact, if you would go down to the State House or talk to different of the representatives down there, over the last, we've had 2 special sessions since the primary, and I've had just very nice words. The one Democrat told me that I have to be the nicest person in the building. I got along with my Democrat colleagues very, very, very well during my time there. And I'm going to miss time there.
You didn't get in a fight in the bathroom with them like some of them? I heard of
Wasn't me.
it.
Wasn't
That
me.
must have been an interesting day when you fight in the bathroom. That's somebody got their feelings hurt on that one. But yeah, and your last name, I mean, I tell people you're the nicest guy in politics, and but don't be fooled by that. So but yeah, I wasn't shocked, but I just didn't think you had that the national interest. I just thought you were more of a local guy, but hey,
Well, I spent 5 years in the Tea Party movement back whenever that was, in 2009 going forward, and we met every Monday night. We studied the Constitution. We spent one entire year studying the Constitution every Monday night. So the United States Constitution. So, but in the Tea Party years, our focus was totally at national level. Like we didn't even realize there was like state and local stuff that you could get involved in. And so, yeah, in my formative years politically, we were very, very involved in national stuff. And so now over the last 8 years, I have not paid much attention to the federal government other than to try to say no to the federal government here. But it's come back pretty quickly, over the last couple of weeks here, as we've gone through this process. It's like, yeah, that's what the federal government's supposed to do. They're only supposed to do 20 things and not a million other things.
Yeah, and they're not good at any of them. Well, and that's that goes again to when you stand up for the right principles. It works here in the state and there in DC and pretty much everywhere. I think that Ed had another question on there. What's your feel for the precinct people? I don't think I heard an answer. If I did, I probably today I'm like spacing.
Ed was asking about the precinct people. Yeah,
what's your feel for that?
Yeah, I've been talking.
I just wanted to get your feel for that.
Yeah, yeah. I've been talking to the precinct people. They understand the redistricting process, and yeah, it's So I'm getting mixed things from different precinct committeemen, and everyone's entitled to their opinions. So.
Yeah. So, this is, uniquely on our panel here, every one of us has run for office. And, I noticed when I talked to somebody that pretty sure they weren't going to vote for me, they usually would say, good luck. That's the code word for I ain't voting for you. Good luck. so just keep that in mind. That's how it is. Well, Kurt, I know that, as you've been.
Or bless your heart. That's the other code word.
Yeah, that's for that means they might vote for you because you're crazy. But good luck means I ain't voting for you. So, but you're always a good sport on the show. We do the conspiracy theory, and Kurt actually had one, but this is a serious show tonight. We're not doing peeps on the streets. We're not doing conspiracy theory. We're getting candidates on here because this is a serious business. So, Kurt, we thank you for coming on, and we will bring on our next guest. So, thanks for answering the questions.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody out there in Mouthwash land.
All right.
Good
Let's
luck.
see who pops on there. It's Tiffany. So, Tiffany, you're not going to be on there for very long because we're bringing on Tiernan. There he is. Yep. Hopefully his internet connection is doing well because we have show snafus on occasion. So you're the winner tonight on the guessing of who gets to go first. So Tiernan, I'm not going to screw this up for you. I'm going to do it right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're running, and a fun or interesting fact.
Great. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate the chance to come on and talk with you all. Looking forward to hard questions. My name, as you said, is Tiernan Kane. I work out of South Bend for a nationally acclaimed constitutional legal practice, and I'm a husband to my wife, Elliot. We're soon to welcome our fifth child to run around and keep us occupied and excited. Those kids, Patrick, Gabriel, Cecilia, Mary, and an unnamed baby, are really a core reason for running. I mean, if the Biden administration keeps having us take flight from reality and spending and shutting down endlessly, throwing open the border while closing down the economy and bombarding kids, including my own, if they could, with critical race theory and gender ideology, then those kids are just not going to grow up in the country that I grew up in, loving and still love deeply. So if there's a breach to step in, now's the time to stand up and push back and show how we're not going to leave reality. We're going to open our eyes and face it and solve these problems. Now, you asked for a fun fact. I met my wife before I came back to Notre Dame, or came to Notre Dame. She had been at Notre Dame previously. And I told myself when I started grad school, it was a PhD in political science here at Notre Dame, that I would not get distracted by extracurriculars or dating or anything like that. And before classes started, I ran into Elliot and we started dating immediately and got engaged and got married, and the rest is history. So best plans, man's best plans laid to waste, right? And it's been a happy ever after.
Yeah, that sometimes things happen, that's how it goes. So, well, we welcome you on the Mouthwash Show. You're a first time guest, and I'm glad. One thing I talked about on the start of the show is 80% of a good politician is if you can get a hold of them, because I swear some of them that get elected, it's very hard to find. You got to pretty much stalk them and then jump on them and say at one of these events, and how that goes. So we're going to do the reverse order this time. We're going to have Ed. He actually lives in South Bend. You guys might be neighbors and not even know it. So his internet stinks too. he got two soup cans in a string. And you got to pull them tight or you won't get a signal.
Yeah.
So Ed,
we definitely need to work on that in this district, because it's bad here, but it was even worse in Elkhart. And so pleasure to meet you. My first, or my big question to you is about your background. I know personally you say you work with constitutional law firm, but as far as political background, do you have any type of, have you run before? Have you held any kind of office? What's your background there?
Right. Well, I have to say thank you first of all, Ed, and I'd like to get over. I don't know what part of town you live on, but I don't want to reveal your address to the whole wide world.
I'm up by the UP Mall right now, so yeah.
Okay. We're down where I'm over in just on the north side of the river.
Millions of viewers.
My experience here is an important piece. Experience in doing the work that needs to be done, and in the next 2 years, the work that needs to be done with the Democratic president, all respect to Ed, who will wield the veto, is you need to use the most important weapon that Congress has to fight back against out-of-control agencies, which is congressional oversight and consequently public advocacy stemming out of congressional oversight. So the experience that we need is the kind of person that knows how to make a case, develop a case for the wrongdoing, frankly, the wrongdoing that is running rampant in the administration, right? And that's having terrible effects on communities like ours, right? So in order to expose that, you have to have experience making a case, working with the organizations that know how to put a stop to these out of control administrative actions. And look, that's what I do. That's my day job. My job is making a case to defend the Constitution and to defend policies such as federal immigration law, and to stop illegal actions once they have crossed into litigation. But let's stop them before they get there. Let's stop them in these oversight committees, and that's the experience that I have, and I think that's the experience we need.
Yep. Okay. So we bring our audience, our viewing audience. This one's Adam Harvey. Before I get to you, Tiffany, I'm going to put this one up here because it pertains to that. What's your favorite case or issue that you specifically worked on in constitutional law?
Great. I won't speak to particular cases because you don't want to get into representation that I worked on. I mean, but right. I will say that I think we've done a lot of great work on the Second Amendment in my firm. We have a real focus on that. Our firm was litigated the leading case that led to Heller, D.C. Heller, which was what really put the Second Amendment on the map as an individual right. Before 2008, there was almost no real protection of the Second Amendment as an individual right. Our firm litigated the case that led to, and in some sense maybe you might say ghost wrote, Heller. And then we have ever since we've worked to put that into practice, because it turns out that just winning in court isn't enough always, even in the Supreme Court, to secure a right. And this is one of the reasons, again, that I'm running is, look, I work all day and sometimes all night on protecting individual clients from unconstitutional actions. But all that has to be done sometimes to wipe that work out is to pass a law or fail to stop the administration from not enforcing a law. And this is renders futile all of these efforts. And what I want to do is again, take the fight to Congress so that that work is not in vain, and that rights like the Second Amendment are effectively protected and expanded to their proper constitutional scope.
Wow, that was a pretty detailed answer. I can see why you're an attorney. You got paid by the word on that one, I think. So I think Tiffany's like, which question are you going to ask, Tiffany? You're up next, by the way. So Tiffany is our Republican, and Ed is our Democrat, and Lucy is our Libertarian. Just to bring everybody up to speed here. So go ahead, Tiffany.
So thank you for the detailed answer. This one doesn't have to be long. Why should the voters vote for you? I mean, what makes you the best choice? Because I hear a lot of words, but I don't hear any transition statements that turn into things that voters can get behind.
Right.
So I feel a little lost.
What voters want, I think, and really believe, is to put a check on out of control spending, inflation, and the recession, to get control of the border, to stop crime and drugs flowing over the border, along 80-90, into our communities, to protect their children against ideologies that will harm them and divide them from their fellow Americans. The way to do that as a congressman, if you're a United States congressman, the way to do that is to prosecute a case before the government officials that have to come before Congress and defend their actions. That is the way that we stop these actions as congressmen, is you expose them and you hold them to account. The government agencies that are, and their allies and universities that are executing the policies that are harming people. The reason people should vote for me is that is my job. That's what I have done, and that's what I'm ready to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would love to see the government held accountable. And Lucy, I know after she burned it down, she would like to hold it accountable. So, so Lucy, you're up. Your question's next.
Okay, so full disclosure, Tiernan, I am a straight up anarchist. I don't believe in government. I believe that in self-rule, but I don't believe that anarchy means that you exist without morality, obviously. In fact, people that are anarchists typically have a much higher moral standard than others. So with all that being said, I want to thank you for running. Kurt Nicely is such a good friend of mine. I love him and Mary. I think they're like absolutely amazing people. I had no idea that there was another godly person that had stepped up and said, I'll carry the ball. So my biggest question is, what the heck can you do about it? I mean, you're like one of 400 and something, and the whole world is against you. We saw how even Hoosier GOP got together to squash, the John Jacob and Kurt Nicely, to make sure that they could not secure freedom for Hoosiers. So my philosophy, and this is what I would like for you to comment on, my philosophy has long been to withdraw yourself from the entangling alliances in any way, shape, or form that you can remove yourself from underneath the thumb of any government agency in any way whatsoever, to simply withdraw your consent and to live your life quietly. Well, I'm not so quiet, but somewhere else. So my question would be, how would you, as a congressman, be able to shield citizens from the monopolistic evil force that is government?
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you. You live up to the name anarchist.
Thank you.
We look. The way that you make a difference is the way that now Senator Tom Cotton made a difference. He was another member of Congress who came out of my firm, and it's essentially hard work. It's it's consulting with people who are solid and true in their principles and working hard and smart and being utterly free of all scandal and all intemperate remarks, right? That can be used against you while working harder and smarter in a way that cannot be denied. And then you just hold the line. And if they come against you, then you've done your job, you've done your duty, and that's you give it your all. You give it your all to protect the people you love, and that's all you can do.
And knowing that you're putting your family in literal harm's way, there will be arrows in your back as you try to protect your family and citizens. So I also have to ask the correlating question, which is not just standing as a shield, but how do you propose to end unconstitutional organizations that are extra constitutional, like the Federal Reserve, the FBI, the DEA? You know, how do you propose to get rid of those things that are unconstitutional?
I would say, in terms of, you mentioned the putting your family in harm's way. My wife, I think, would be an Amazon warrior, right? If she could, she's ready to fight. So she's ready. You asked how do you get control of unconstitutional agencies?
No,
look,
I didn't say control. I said eliminate.
Well,
eliminate.
Yeah, that's the only way to control an unconstitutional agency. If it's invalid, it's invalid. There's some great work to be done there by, I think, one easy means for Congress is to cut off funding. If it's unconstitutional, there's certainly no reason why it should be funded, and Congress has control over the power of the purse. Let's cut appropriations. I certainly think we should be looking at that for 87,000 new IRS agents. If we're looking to start auditing middle-class voters and small businesses for any mistake they made on their taxes, without any excuse or a reliance that this is going to generate the benefits that the government suggests, then there's a real case to be made immediately for Congress to withhold funding from the IRS agents that have been given this power to investigate small businesses.
And especially, you know, the request in their job, their employment ad, that somebody be willing to use deadly force and be available at odd hours. You know, that kind of sounds like no-knock murder raids to me. So you mentioned appropriation as a way to eliminate CIA, DEA, those sorts of things. So here's my question. We all know that these are not funded necessarily by what Congress appropriates for them, but instead by black box operations. The main of those is drugs. And you said, oh, we got to stop guns or we got to stop drugs and people, you know, immigration from coming over our border. Would it not make sense to simply legalize drugs? And actually, I don't want to just legalize them, because that puts them in a status where there would be regulations on them. Completely decriminalize people. Now, I don't smoke or drink anything, by the way. I grew up as a good little Mormon girl that became a Christian later when I figured out they were lying to me. So I found the fraud in the church and left, and, you know, it's very sad. But if you decriminalized all drugs across the board, there would be no black market for them. It would cut the legs out from under the CIA's black box operations and funding. Do you have the courage to do something so bold? Or are you going to argue that, you know, it's immoral for people to alter their, their psychology?
I certainly think it's immoral for drug dealers to be able to rain death down randomly throughout our communities.
They only do that because it's profitable to do so. If there were no profit motive, there would be no market for them to control. So if you want to end violence in communities, then, you know, there's no black market for water, at least at this point, because it has not been commoditized. But if water were suddenly a substance that was regulated by the US government, and you couldn't get adequate water for your family, and you had to go to somebody, you know, in the black market for it, all of a sudden there would be violence surrounding water.
When England decriminalized heroin, as I recall, in the 60s, they had to regulate it. When the Dutch decriminalized marijuana, did
they really have to, or is that just the line that we're getting from them? I mean, what when you say that they had to?
Drugs really they change the way people are able to behave in a way that is not, in my opinion, not consistent with
what about Prozac?
And I think that What we
What
need
about
to stop,
pharmaceutical drugs?
what we need, we because people are dying from fentanyl and opioids,
They're
and
dying
everyone
from
knows,
Prozac.
because everyone
They're
knows
dying
someone
from
who is
pharmaceutical
dying
drugs.
from fentanyl does not mean that we don't need to allow that to continue in order to justify or really kind of think about what our pharmaceutical policy should be. That's a separate question. There is simply no reason to allow opioids to wreak the havoc that they're wreaking. And I understand that you think that your judgment is that is caused by the ban. I don't think that's the case, and I think the evidence is from every society that's tried to decriminalize those kinds of dangerous, harmful, addictive, liberty undercutting and liberty destructive drugs has had to undo that at great cost, especially to those with the least resources to deal with it.
Sugar,
So I have a
sugar
question
is
here.
liberty undercutting.
I have a
Go ahead,
question
Ed.
that has to do specifically with the second district because we're on the border with Michigan. I could drive 10 minutes that way and be at a dispensary. And I could tell you right now that they give out, if you could look into it yourself, have your staff look into this. They've got first responder specials that go on throughout the week just because they know that traffic's coming back and forth. And so as we're talking about stuff in the southern border, you're literally on the border watching drugs come over from Michigan. And to me personally, I think it should be legalized, but at the federal level, I think, especially with marijuana, where to be a Schedule 1 drug, it's got to have no known medical use. We can't say that anymore. They've been proven to have many medical uses. So at the federal level, I would have to ask, you're going to be in that position. What is your position, especially on marijuana, considering how that is a big issue right here on the border with Michigan and Illinois?
Yeah, I think it's a great point because federal law does still ban marijuana use. And this is something, actually it highlights the point we talked about earlier where it's only through, sometimes through the lack of appropriations that federal drug law has not been enforced in some of these states where the states have taken a position different from the federal government. As far as I know, the research I have seen, and I've seen this from Democrats such as, I think it's Joe Kennedy in Massachusetts, and from Republicans. Many, I think, district attorneys confront this issue very frequently. And the evidence for the medical uses of marijuana is something that we should continue to scrutinize, because I'm not sure that evidence is at the same level that medical standards generally uphold. So look, I think if we this is a great thing to hold hearings on, real hearings. I'm not against learning more about the facts of medical marijuana, but I do think, and frankly, I think that, obviously enforcement of marijuana has never been a top, marijuana possession has never been a top priority for law enforcement. The top priority needs to be stopping the one dose, one kill opioids, fentanyl, that is devastating people in our lives. There's no reason we can't do that, and we should.
There's a lot of one dose, one kill pharmaceutical drugs like remdesivir, AZT. I mean, when are we going to hold the pharmaceutical companies to account? It's the lack of personal responsibility that can be foisted on the people who are doing this and selling these drugs. We've got Vioxx, $1 billion case. I mean, this, you're an attorney. So here you've got this $1 billion case, including criminal negligence admissions from Merck. And they're still selling drugs. We never held anybody accountable. The folks up at Purdue, the opioids. I mean, you want to talk about that.
It's a great point.
So marijuana has never killed anybody. Cannabis, thousands and thousands of years, has never killed anybody. I'll tell you what it kills. It kills the profits of oncologists, who are the only doctors who are allowed to buy and then sell the medication to their patients. They buy a dose for $3,000, they sell it for $30,000, they scare you into taking 10 doses because you're a $270,000 bill to them. They don't want you growing cannabis. They don't want you to do Rick Simpson oil. So if any of you, though, Google it, RSO, Rick Simpson oil, Phoenix Tears, cure your own cancer with cannabis.
I especially appreciate your point about the fact that it's not just government agencies and universities, but corporations that are escaping accountability for either unlawful or inappropriate actions. And again, this is all part of the kind of the core weapon that Congress will have in this upcoming term, which is congressional oversight or and letters to companies that puts them on the record from congressmen requesting details about the whether it's the operations of technology companies in China or whether it's the operations of pharmaceutical companies. If it's unethical, we need to get it out on the record, and there's no reason why a corporation should be immune from public scrutiny.
I don't want public scrutiny. I want public hangings. I want the CEOs and the developers of these drugs who are killing hundreds of thousands of Americans per year. There was a JAMA article that clearly said that over 100,000 Americans die every year just from the proper dose specific, like appropriate dose of pharmaceutical drugs. And that's 100,000 Americans dead, 100,000 families at funerals, and we are not holding these people accountable. They are not getting jail time. They are not suffering fines. They're getting golden parachutes because they're paying off congressmen. So how are you going to stop that being a congressman?
Well, I'm certainly not going to be paid off.
I actually do believe you. I don't think you or Kurt would get paid off. But your families can be threatened.
Right. Yeah, threats. If you're not, threats are just not going to work.
Have you read the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins? That's who we need on the show. We need the guy admitting, yes, I'm a PhD economist for the U.S. government. Yes, I went down to Bolivia and told them that if they put up this hydroelectric dam, their gross national product will go up 15%. So take out this 7% loan from the IMF. Oh, gee, whoops, it actually only took you up 2%. I guess we're going to have to foreclose on your country now because you can't make the debt payments. I mean, that's the kind of transparency that we need, but he was part of the problem for many years.
Yes, look, you're making this is again a crystal clear example of kind of focusing the voters on what exactly they stand to gain and from a congressman, and what they should be expecting from their congressman, and what they should be looking for.
I have a question.
Tiffany, if I could. The point is simply that.
Hold on, Tiffany. Hold on. I want to hear the end.
It's just, look, if we're going to call this bad behavior to account, you need to focus on a congressman who is able to successfully, skillfully navigate and respond to the evasion of out of control agencies, corporations, and universities. That's the job. That's the core job that we need, and that should be the skill set we're looking for in the next congressman from the 2nd District. Sorry, Tiffany.
Oh, so two parts. You talked about this skill set. I think you need to prove to voters that you have that skill set. That's number one. Number two is who in Congress best emulates who best represents who you most want to emulate. Help me understand. Are you, and it was somebody, that was Adam's question. Who do you feel best reflects your values and your political approach? Current member of Congress.
Right. I think that within Congress, in terms of the oversight that I have seen, it's been very effective. I've seen Ted Cruz, I've seen Tom Cotton, I've seen Josh Hawley. When the oversight that when they hold someone in sight, right? The Stanford law professor who was lecturing or attempting to lecture Josh Hawley on whether a man could be pregnant was not successful in refuting his questioning. Marsha Blackburn, in questioning various corporations, was able to hold and press because she has strong conservative values. She pressed and pushed for answers, right? And Tom Cotton, you can't pull Tom Cotton off a line of questioning. He is persistent. He is smart. He is prepared. Right. And that's the kind of, you said, I need to prove, I need to demonstrate to the voters. Tom Cotton came out of my firm. It's the same training. Ted Cruz came out of my firm. It's the same training. Right. This firm produces the kind of people that are prepared to hold government agencies to account.
And I think that's
I
well
have-
and good, but the only hurdle is the voters.
Yeah,
The voters,
those pesky voters. We can get rid of them.
the voters, they're wise. They're smart. They're not
No,
playing
they're
games with
not.
the vote.
Voters aren't wise or smart. Half of them show up and they try to figure out who's going to give them the most largesse from the public treasury, and that's who they vote for. They don't care about freedom anymore. They care about handouts. And,
Well, we
the
could
other
get-
half don't even bother to show up.
Yeah, well, Lucy, Tiernan's trying to get votes, so if he calls them crazy, then that's not going to work out probably to get
Well,
votes.
and he's also trying to get votes from precinct committeemen. So,
Yeah, that's gonna-
so now you're trying to get votes from people who have to maintain the status quo and go along and be able to say at the meeting, oh yeah, I voted against that Tiernan guy, I voted against Nicely, because they're not on the program. They're not going to be people that we can control that are on the take.
I've met a lot of really good precinct members, and I know my neighbors. Maybe Ed knows them too. And there's
Are you a
really
precinct
good
committeeman?
voters out there.
So
Are you a
I
precinct
guess-
committeeman or a vice precinct committeeman?
Me? No.
Yes. Why?
No.
Well, I was finishing my dissertation, working at my firm, and raising the 5 kids here in the last couple of years, and have just recently was able to start reaching out to learn more about the party. I hadn't run into anyone in local circles that had kind of clued me in, and I've since, a bit before the tragedy, had run into some, like I said, some very fine precinct committeemen and women, and had started to learn about the party, and was really looking forward to meeting some of the people that we lost on August 3rd, and really do miss that I won't be able to.
So here's a question: if your bid for this seat doesn't work out, what will be your next political move?
Ooh, look at Tiffany.
I will, I'll be happy to look at where's the need, right? The point of politics, it's not about building a resume or working the political system, hopping from, I supported this person and this person into just the right role to get me into the next step, right? If that's the game, that does not sound like the way that our founders envisioned their politicians, right?
Well,
no career politicians.
With all due respect, you're replacing somebody who, even as a Democrat in this district, I respect the fact that she served here in the Indiana state. If you look up across Democrats that I've seen all across this district, at least said that we may not have seen eye to eye, but we always respected the fact that she stood up for what she did. And one of the things, I don't necessarily think that you have to, I don't think she had a history of selling herself short. I think she did represent people very well. Her and I may not have agreed on a lot of things, but she was a damn good representative for this district. And I think part of that became coming up from working herself up and understanding the system, understanding how it worked, not thinking what voters want, but actually getting out there and talking to voters and knowing what they want. And like I said, I had multiple occasions to get to meet her and know her. And I would say that, I'm sorry that you didn't get a chance to meet her, but you are replacing someone who had that experience and was damn good at what she did because she knew how to run a campaign. She knew how to stay in that office. She knew how to lock that down. She's held that seat for a while for a reason. And a lot of that had to do with that experience. So
No, I completely agree about Jackie being an excellent congresswoman. I do think that, 435 members of Congress and 100 senators know how to, campaign and, and know how to fundraise. I certainly have access to excellent fundraising, and really have no question about the ability to manage a campaign. But what I think set Jackie apart, at least what I understood to set her apart, was courage, right? Conviction, character, willingness, like you said, to take positions people disagreed with, a real grounding in a deep ethical system, right? A religion, a faith that set her apart from politics. And what I was trying to get at there wasn't to demean political experience. That's great if it can be an asset. It should be the right kind of experience, the experience that's going to get this job done in the next 2 years. And it just can't be the whole goal in itself. And I think it was never Jackie's whole goal, right, to just be a prestigious politician. Her goal was to do the good. And because she didn't care about simply being a climber, she was able to do the good and to climb, right? But what I'm trying to get at is we shouldn't idolize being someone who's been around politics. That's true of every failed politician, starting with Joe Biden.
Yeah, he would be an example of somebody who's been around a little bit too long.
People in this state love Mitch Daniels.
I love Mitch Daniels.
But he's like not politicianing right now. He quit while the quitting was good. Got that gig over there at Purdue, watching the cows.
Isn't he resigning at the end of the year?
Yeah, well, you got to move on to fix something else, I guess. But, hey, this has been, in all fairness to Kurt and I just got a message from Curtis Hill. He cannot make it here on us, but you got the extended.
Is he caucusing for this job?
Yeah, we got Curtis Hill. We got Tyrion. We have Rudy. Now, is he from Notre Dame, the Rudy guy? Because I'm going to make fun of the people that said they were going to be on here that didn't come on. So Rudy, he's probably working on the Notre Dame football field right now, and he's probably looking for the keys so he can sneak in that office and sleep overnight. And then Christy Stutzman, she said she was going to roll in here, and I didn't see it. So I'm going to give Curtis the benefit of the doubt because he said he got tied up.
What's he tied up with? Aw.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Never mind. I'm not going to say anything. It's probably get us in trouble. So, Tiernan, you've answered the gauntlet. Lucy got she got on you a little bit there, and you passed the test. So she's smiling and nodding. So that's good. So some people have folded. Let's see. What's that guy? That Lutheran pastor? Lucy made a Lutheran pastor nearly cry on air right before he.
I think his head was going to explode. I think his head was going to explode.
That dude's still like, I didn't do anything to him. He got mad at me because I didn't defend it. I'm like, that was funny. But anyway,
my goodness.
Irrationality.
So
I was waiting for his head to spin in a complete circle.
The holy water.
Lucy was like this. She was like this, throwing body shots.
And his internet connection wasn't that good, so it was a hot mess. But Tiernan, we appreciate you coming on, and as I say, accessibility to a politician is a big thing for me. So we wish you luck, and we're going to talk amongst ourselves now. And thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure getting to know you a little bit.
Pleasure's mine. Thanks so much to you all.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Tiffany, let's do this. Let's go to this.
Did we have a small talk today before we forget?
No, I didn't know. I thought we were going to have like other 3 people. So
I thought he was going to be on live.
Well, he's going to be on with Andrew Horning. So that'll be
right.
That'll be a good show. I think.
Man, I won't even have to say a word.
Yeah, this will be. Yeah, it might be a Pastor Mark reenactment here. We might have to do an exorcism on the show. So
no, Andy Horning is such a gentleman, and he is so even. He is like the anti-Lucy. I mean, he gets passionate, but he doesn't get like angry like I do. Like, you want to take my freedom? Let's go outside and settle it like men.
With BB guns. I actually went to Freedom, Indiana.
This is small talk. I'm angry. Rawr, I'm just an angry man. This is I'm just angry.
I'm wearing a red. I'm wearing a red shirt. Yes.
You guys, it's funny. You guys all make fun of him, but he's got fans out here. He's like, look, they want him. I mean, it's like, come on.
Mark's my buddy, but he does wear a red shirt and blue stuff comes out of his mouth. I don't get that.
Don't make one of our only left people besides Ed. I don't want to offend Ed anymore about his.
That's my buddy.
Hey, but Tiffany, the hair length is perfect. It's just not crazy enough.
Shouldn't you be working on the DeLorean to get it up to 78 gigawatts? I think Mark Small needs a DeLorean with they travel in time back to 1985 because that's what that mad professor here. So
have you ever got some conspiracy?
What's
Have
that?
you all got some conspiracy theories? Because I got a Bill Gates one, and it's
Okay,
new. I
well,
don't think
we'll
you've
do
heard this one
conspiracy
before.
theory. Let me see what I'm going to make. I'll let you guys go first, and I'll make one up. Okay, let me go to it since we got a little extra time here. All right, here you go. Get your hats on.
Hey, y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
All right. Like, I got one of my antennas just falling. I can't catch any stuff there. Oh, he's got the gum wrapper going again there. You can at least get Wrigley's. Don't they have a shiny one? I look like Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon. Saving America with the Mouthwash Show. Okay, that's enough
I'm
of that.
telling you, I've been saving these things up, and I am going to make a hat. It's just a matter of I've got to get enough.
Typical Democrat guy.
Yeah.
Just gotta ease into it, you know.
That's your Blue New Deal.
So Ed, what do you think about? We only had a couple of people on, but that's, they're brave souls for coming out here. They only got a couple days for this caucus, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
When is the caucus?
So am I allowed to give my honest opinion? Like I don't want to.
Please.
Oh yeah. What, do you usually give a dishonest opinion? Is that what you're trying to insinuate?
No, I we had two of the candidates on, and I'll be honest, and it's not just because Kurt's been on the show before, but I will come out and say it is, I've said I'm a former Republican, I turned Democrat, and I can appreciate the fact that Kurt and I don't agree, and almost like I said there towards the end, I appreciate the fact that, whether or not Jackie and I didn't or disagreed, I could appreciate that she stood by her principles and what she believed in, and she left it up to the vote, and the people chose her. And so if I had to pick somebody to represent this district, which clearly I'm not a Republican, and I have no say in this.
We'd have to throw you off the show if you were.
Yeah, and but I really like, if I had to pick somebody out of the field, Kurt would be definitely the person I would want to represent me up here in the 2nd district. So,
all right, well, that's
okay. I like what you said, Ed, but I want to hear from Curtis Hill. I mean, our former Attorney General, one of the top vote getters in the elections that he ran here in the state of Indiana. Has definitely been on he continued to stay on the conservative circuit, doing speaking engagements. I really want to hear what's motivating him to run and what makes him a good candidate. So the Tiffany endorsement is still hanging. It's still hanging.
Yeah, you guys are killing me in the chat with your comments, by the way.
I think Tiernan did a great job answering us. He's clearly a smart guy. I didn't even bring up to the fact that I have twice as many children as he does. Plus, I'm the one that actually gave birth to them. That's like my trump card. So I didn't even bring that up.
Hey, nobody's going to mess with Lucy. You don't pull on Superman's cape, and you don't mess with Lucy. There's two things on this show that happens that we don't do.
And I give you extra credit for dealing with your 11th child.
Yeah. After last week, on the Twitter, someone got, Lucy, they were going after you a little bit. I tried to defend your honor, but it was...
Yeah. Well, he's got frustrated. He's watching a movie now, so.
Yeah, it's like, well, I can see how this would be not so interesting for a Democrat or a Libertarian on this show. So we thank you for being good sports and all that. So, well, let's get to this conspiracy theory because I want to see it. And I have a conspiracy theory too. And I just made one up. So go ahead, Lucy. We're going to start off with you because I want to hear.
You got to start off with me. Yeah. Okay. So this is one I'm taking personally. So for those of you who don't know, I am absolutely obsessed with tiny houses. I love tiny houses.
Didn't know where you were going with tiny.
Yeah, I love tiny houses. Like the project that I want to do so badly is to go buy like the school bus that used to be a band bus. So it's got like the garage underneath and then like raise the roof and like have like this school bus, right? Because I've got so many kids if I want to have like an RV lifestyle and just drive around and learn stuff. But guess who's freaking interfering with that now? Bill Gates of Hell. So he has started supporting I don't know if he just financially supported because he just likes to throw his money around. Prefab housing. Now, obviously, he's just simply imitating Elon Musk, who's already said that he's supporting these boxable houses. But yeah, now Bill Gates is trying to get us all to live in his prefab housing. So now he wants to control what software you're allowed to use, censor the internet with his software, obviously. He wants us to eat his bugs. He wants us to eat his plant-based meat. Plant-based, not as in like plants with leaves, but like it's built in a factory in a plant. So now this man literally wants everybody to live in what amounts to prison cells. The prefabs are ugly, and it's clear that he just wants to stack people in a city. And it's the Matrix. We're his batteries. Well, not me, but the people who aren't smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah, they won't take you alive on that one. Well, maybe we'll get Tiernan Kane. Maybe we'll get Tiernan Kane to go after them with it.
Well, Ted Cruz would totally, get us all freedom. We can tell because, he was down when, the Texans were freezing. He wasn't there trying to fix the problem. He was too busy on the Riviera.
Yeah, he's in Cancun, wasn't he? That's how you fix a problem. If it's cold, you go to Cancun. Or you could go and blow on the windmills.
I got no problem with him sending his family down to safety, but that man should have been up with his constituents.
Yeah, he cruised on out of there, didn't he?
Good one.
I'm full of them today. Yeah, look at me go. I'm just barely functioning to get through this show. It's like killing me. So, Ed, do you have anything? You got something?
I just wanted to give a shout out to Wikipedia this week. For those that aren't baseball fans, great player in San Diego named Tatis tested positive, got suspended 80 games for using banned substances. And the best part of this story is that his original excuse was that he was using something because he got ringworm. Unfortunately, somebody uncovered the fact that he had apparently looked it up on Wikipedia for what he got busted for, but it typed it in wrong. And so the stuff that he got busted for doesn't actually treat ringworm. That's a completely different drug. And so today his dad had to come out and come with a completely different story about how he used some spray that for another injury he had, in which that has not panned out either. And so I just wanted to give Wikipedia a big shout out for totally confusing the Tatis family this week and totally blowing their cover. So see you in 80 games.
Yeah. Wow. Get your story straight. Yeah. Well, in that Wikipedia, that's why you can't use it in any kind of research because Wikipedia is a opinion.
So what did Wikipedia say? Like smoke crack if you have ringworm? What did he do?
No, they apparently they typed in twice. They typed in the wrong drug, and so and they got the total description for the wrong type of drug. And so they
So did they have to buy it on a corner from a guy in a long coat?
When you don't know all this,
did he snort it?
When you're on $130 million deal, I'm assuming you have ways of getting things. So
CVS.
Yeah.
So he's San Francisco Giants.
San Diego Padres.
Padres.
He's the at-home Padres right now.
Yeah, he got some. He went and saw his Padre that had some stuff, and he got it. And there you go. So,
poor guy.
well, at least he's playing baseball in a good city. He could relax.
As a Dodgers fan, I just gotta say, see ya.
Yeah. Sorry about your luck. Watch out for that ringworm.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's interesting. I didn't know that there was substances like that you can be confused for sports enhancing drugs or whatever. Maybe I'll take some for bricklaying, so I'll be really fast bricklayer or something. That's we never get tested for that. Everything else, but not the steroids. We don't do. So Tiffany, do you have anything? So
the search for Bigfoot continues. We're in a search and release right now.
Search and release. Yeah, we gotta search them, catch them, then release them.
Yeah.
So okay, my conspiracy theory is now actually one of the candidates, we couldn't even find this person online, and Adam looked for him to contact him. And again, that's one of my big deals. If you can't contact your representative, then why have them? But the others, they happened to. What happened to them was they were eaten by a purple people eater. That's it. They were eaten by a purple people eater. And I know those, it's sort of like the Bigfoot. Have you anybody seen a purple people eater? Isn't there a song
Oh,
like that?
Bigfoot's real. He's a lore in a lot of Native American tribal stories. So
The
Bigfoot is
Sasquatch.
real.
So
So
is the
I
Sasquatch
just
and a
really,
Bigfoot the
I
same?
mean, I really
Yes.
reject what you're putting on me about me and my search for happiness, and I'm not going to let you do that.
I got to stand with Tiffany on this one because every major culture has the Yeti, the Sasquatch, the abominable snowman, the Bigfoot. I mean, this is not just like a Louisiana thing, like the Mud Bog monster, the monster of Boggy Creek.
So the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer's Bonnables bounce. Is that what you're trying to say? You know, it's like Yukon Cornelius.
Hey,
Cornelius.
I've seen NFL films before. The purple people eaters were real. They
That's
played,
it. That's what I was.
and
thanks for bailing me out, Ed. The ladies
and-
were just letting me out there dangle, you know, about the.
And I have a feeling if you want to know where Bigfoot is, you could ask Tatisa's dad.
Here's
Maybe I should look him up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, really. Watch out for the ringworm. But here's one from one of our viewers. It's Epstein is still alive and just moved to another island. So maybe he's, you know, got that going for him. So.
Oh, can I tell Thor? Thor, thank you for the picture of the picture of the hat that you sent me. But that would have been a whole lot of foil. And I'm not only fiscally conservative, I'm also foil conservative.
Foil conservative. I did see that. That was
that big floppy hat.
That's for the Kentucky Derby. You can wear that at the Derby, you know, and drink your mint julep.
You want a fascinator.
Yeah. So, all right.
I
Well,
got to
that'll
have
wind it
drinks
up.
with John today. I mean, on Sunday, I got to spend time with John.
Yeah, and your friend was so nice. He paid for my beer. I was, you know, best way to win me as a friend is pay for my beer. It's like not that hard. I mean, you know.
Oh.
John,
Easy.
I just gotta tell you, I was talking to my wife today, and she said this guy gave her the weirdest look in the store, and she said she was trying to convince him to take a picture because she could have sworn it was John Schmitz shopping at the store. And she was like, "It's his doppelganger, and he wouldn't take a picture for me." She was so upset. She wanted to show you she found your doppelganger. So,
so you could do it. Well, people they call me Steve Martin. They think I'm Steve Martin sometimes. I wish I was that funny. but yeah, that's funny. So was I getting lettuce or something?
And I met him.
Yeah, M. Donovan was playing music, and I didn't get there in time to see her, but she sent me a note later. Hey, I ran into your friend Tiffany. So, but okay, I think next week we have a pretty good show, and with Ted and the owner of the diner, and possibly one of the family members of the fallen officer. We'll see how that pans out. That's all up to Theodore. Wow, I tell you, I'm done.
Can I share something?
I was in the sun. Go ahead.
So I was at the Fisher City Council meeting last night, and one of our councilmen, Brad DeReamer, he brought in 2 people from Britton Falls, very nice people, and they happened to have been in the suburb outside of Chicago on 4th of July at the parade. And
really?
they were there at the mass shooting, husband and wife. And I'm going to guess they're probably in their 60s. And they were there with their grandkids. And she was shot in the leg.
Oh,
and
she was like in it.
Yeah. And then the person next to her husband was shot pretty bad. And somebody else took like a bullet through the pant leg, was not hurt. But I have never met anybody who has survived or been a part of a mass shooting before. And they just came to City Hall and they just, told their story about what happened that day. And the husband at the end, he just said, nobody needs to have an assault rifle. The destruction and the chaos that was caused with that assault rifle isn't worth it. People don't need those kinds of weapons. And it was just really profound. And just that they were able to come and share that experience, and they're talking to people and they're sharing their story. But could you imagine just 4th of July parade, you're hanging out, and the next thing you know, gunfire, people are down, people are running and scattering, and these people were just hanging out with their grandkids. So it's just really honored. It just touched my soul to meet them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we're having more opportunities with that, because there are so many more of them that at least publicized or not publicized, but ever since we had the Columbine shooting, it seems like the media has sort of sensationalized it a little bit. Like, hey, it's
Can I point out that the media sensationalizes this and brings forth people who call for the end of our Second Amendment rights, specifically to take away our rights so that we can be more easily controlled by a violent government. Every communist government that went on to murder tens of millions or hundreds of millions of its own citizens first disarmed them. Mao couldn't have done what he did without disarming people. Neither could Pol Pot. Neither could, Hitler. They went into Stalin too. Yeah, like why leave him out? So I feel I can't even imagine the horror of being in the Greenwood Park Mall when that happened, but so grateful that we had somebody there. I can't imagine being at that 4th of July parade. But what's really sad is that when that happened, people were hitting the deck instead of turning around and having 100 guns on the shooter. Why didn't that happen? Because people had already been disarmed.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. What are the laws in Chicago? Like Chicago, you can't have
Chicago's
a gun.
gun-free.
It's the strictest gun laws in our entire country, and it has the highest murder rate. I mean, of course, they're correlated. Get a clue.
Well, the bad guys are always going to have guns.
Well, that's what they say. If you outlaw guns, then only outlaws will have guns. So, it's
like the black market, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, well,
bingo.
And Indianapolis here we go. We're starting a whole nother topic here. Indianapolis has started is in 1 year of their task force to get these illegal guns off, and I think they've gotten like 367 illegal guns off the streets. But it's like, and our murder rate isn't quite as bad as it was, but it's still almost a daily thing to see somebody shot.
Perhaps we could be working on economic opportunity and not shutting down small businesses and not making people have to live hand to mouth, put a gun in somebody's face in order to, be able to buy bread that night. Maybe we could work on the economic opportunity angle instead of let's disarm everybody so that they can't fight back angle.
Yeah, well, and another thing is when there's a traffic accident, it ain't exchanging insurance; it's exchanging bullets. So if you have an accident with somebody, you could be not only in the accident, but you could be shot too. I mean, that seems to be one of the things that is really escalating. And I think really it's stuff that we used to maybe get in a fist fight about or a yelling fight about. Now it's shooting. If you get mad at somebody, just shoot them.
So in 1997, I think, fall of 96, I coached Little League football down in Montgomery, Alabama at Maxwell Air Force Base. And the little boys were 7, 8, and 9, and they were at the age where they would start running, and I would run after them, and I'd pick them off one by one, and I would finish first. And as a 23-year-old woman, that's what I needed in my life to feel good. But I was in the Air Force, I was in the shape of my life. And so this one little boy's like, it's not fair. You're bigger than us. I'm going to get my dad, and he's going to come and he's going to race you. And I was like, bring your dad. I'll beat your dad. And so at the next football practice, he brought his dad.
Did you beat his dad?
I know, but I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I don't want to run against your dad. But I was like, well, hey, let's do this because I'm respecting the duel. Like if we were going to grab weapons and do 10 paces, this is what we were going to do. You brought your dad. I'm here. Let's race. Luckily, he was tall. He was overweight. He was a smoker. He didn't want to race me. All he saw was the brown skin, and he was thinking Flojo.
Yeah,
Flojo. But it was one of those things with just respecting that. We have a disagreement. Your son wants you to race me. I'm here. If we need to race, let's race. But we were able to put it behind us. But John, to your point, like we used to settle so many things with conversations or a fight, like I'll meet you here and we're going to fight and that's going to be it. It was never one of those, well, we're going to do this and somebody's going to die today. I mean, and then whoever shoots that guy, somebody else is going to shoot him and it just keeps going on and on.
Maybe we should
little known fact, back in 95, Ed went through the Compton Fire Academy. And at that time when we did our ride-alongs, The fire department literally had staging points where we had to stage, and then we would get a police escort into places, and people were shooting at us, taking pop. It was like driving through a war zone. It was almost like taking sniper fire. And what was interesting, at the end of the academy, you have the opportunity to join the fire department, and I joined the Navy instead because I literally felt safer in the military.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, it was a hell of a lot safer. So yeah,
well, and that's going to be our discussion next week. Is it's all about that. A guy pulls somebody over at a traffic stop, and then we had another officer out in Richmond, I guess, that she was on a traffic stop, shot by a person who should be in jail. We have a homeless ordinance that's trying to get passed right now that whoever serves food, and Tiffany, you're probably aware of this, has to get a permit. And if they don't get a permit and they don't clean up, they're going to be getting fined by the police department. Like they got nothing more to do than go out and find these people. But come to find out, the guy that stabbed the gal in the neck when she died down by the war memorial is somebody we Narcaned about 3 months ago that was ODing, doing the willy in the parking lot. We Narcaned him. The police came, the hospital came, he snapped out of it, and then he goes on to murder somebody. So when do we start holding people accountable for things? They want to make another law that's going to punish people. I mean, I don't know how much it's going to punish somebody that's serving food. I think they're basically just going after this one guy because that's where they have most of the trouble. Why do we treat symptoms when they don't ever want to treat the problem? So, and it goes back to the social economical, well-being. When there's only drugs, when all the drug dealers are running around there in new, Chargers and whatnot, and they're living the life, a young kid sees that and he says, I want to get into it. And it just keeps perpetuating. And then we wonder, well, why is it messed up? So anyway, I got my wits about me there for a second.
John, that's spoken like somebody who does a fair amount of community service. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. Because you're at the ground level seeing what's going on.
Well, today I hired a new guy that is 3 days out of rehab, and he's had a life of drug use. And so it's just going to be, a challenge to, try to help him get through that. But yeah, you see it, but it's easy to, as my Carmel Twitter friends that are the Democrats in Carmel, it's easy to sit up in Carmel, and no offense, Tiffany, you sit up in Fishers and look at what's going on here. But I see it daily, and we're trying to we are making a difference, and it's just slow sledding, and but it's when you get a little breakthrough, it works.
But to your point, even though I'm here in Fishers, I've always been about solutions. It's like, let's look at some of the problems. Let's not treat the symptoms. Let's understand what's going on. And I think until, like lawmakers in Marion County and Indianapolis, your trustees, your city council folks, school board, until they all sit down together around a really big table and they don't care who gets the credit and they really talk about solutions, because it's multifactorial, it's multi-agency. One idea is not going to fix a lot of things. When I was in the Lugar series, we had to do talks, and I was like, we should have family zones. These should be areas in Indiana where we look at look at people who are receiving government assistance, look at test scores for kids, look at the number of parents who've been justice involved. You look at all of these factors and you give areas a rating. And then from that, you apply resources. Do we need to pay our teachers more to incentivize them to work in inner city and more rural communities? Do we need to have more daycare centers so that parents can go to work? Do we need to decrease do we need to increase the tax incentives for people to get married? Do we need to double it? Double the taxes, the tax credit that people get when they get married. People who volunteer with Big Brother and Big Sister, can we give them $1,000 tax credit? Can we incentivize people to mentor? What can we do to change the soil that these seeds are living in? And you take somebody who's been just as involved, they're married, they're living as a family. Let's work on expunging things from people's records, because having a history, a criminal history, and then living a good person, there's still so many barriers that exist for you. And so until we look holistically at how we can improve families in inner city areas, in rural Indiana, until we look holistically at changing the situations that people are living in, nothing's going to change. Giving a man a sandwich is not going to do anything when he's not going to eat for the next week, the next month. You know what I'm saying? He's living in a cardboard box. Don't give him a sandwich, give him hope.
Yeah, well, if you're Lucy, that works on Dorn. Make me a sandwich. It's like, okay, that did it. Yeah,
And
go ahead.
Just to piggyback on that, especially since we're here talking about the second district. I always take pause. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. If you're running in this district and you haven't spent a lot of time on the west side of South Bend, if you haven't spent a lot of time in the south side of Elkhart, if you just see those as those troubled areas, if you think you have ideas, but you haven't gone there and you haven't done the work, you haven't gone and talked to the people and understand what those problems are, what they're addressing, what they're living in, then I have a hard time saying like I would support you no matter what party you're in, because like Tiffany was saying, it's got to be holistic. You've got to get in on the ground floor and talk to the people and address the issues where they're at. You can't just we have this problem of just wanting to throw money at issues. And it's not the solution, because you know what, people from other areas swoop in to collect that money and it never ends up where it's supposed to go.
It's the trough. It's the government trough. They line up and they feed at the trough, and you'll be surprised at the people that do the most good. And Tiffany, I know you've helped with homelessness, and I've seen you down there walking the talk. And most effective people that are in the homelessness business here in Indianapolis are people that are not really getting funded and that don't want anything to do with the so-called city people. Yep. And in the last meeting I had with the city folks, that's why I said, hey, you need somebody that and the reason they don't do it is they don't trust the city, and they've not told them the truth, and they've not done that, and they get a ton of money, and it goes to the big outfits like Wheeler and right and all this, and that's great, but it's not the whole picture. But you know what, Tiffany, it takes work to do that. And one of the things I came up with.
It takes work, and it takes collaboration. People that they're electing in Marion County, Indianapolis, if they're not willing to sit down together and come up with real solutions and bring everybody to the table and everybody to the meeting, so that an idea can be expounded on and put into action, written on the board, and how many people are going to make that thing happen? Who's in this room that we need to make this happen? Who's not in this room? Until you get together every person who's a stakeholder and improving those situations, nothing's going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. And from the top to the bottom, if they don't have legislators who are willing to sit down, 100 people in a room, figure it out, get Oprah, moderate it, fix it. Anything's fixable. I mean, I take clients to see homes freaking falling apart. Anything's fixable. Don't even get
one of the things, it doesn't exist, Tiffany. I meet with the BNS, Brian Madison, and we go down there, and Michael Hart, councilman, got these meetings with me to help fix the permit process. So I meet with them and I ask him, I said, well, who's working on this? Who's your think tank? Who's your guys? He didn't know. He didn't have anybody. I said, well, why don't you get your guys together? I'll sit down with them. Michael will sit down. We'll figure something out. Well, I don't know who those guys would be. So he said, after the meeting, he told Michael, well, he didn't have any specific ideas. I said, I'm not going to go into this meeting and give them specific ideas. I'm here to listen and learn and see what you have. So I did 11-page PowerPoint on how to fix the permit system in Indianapolis that would work, and asked for feedback. I said, this is not this isn't the gospel. This is just a starting point. And not one person has come back and said, oh, this is a good idea. You know what they're doing now? We went to Joe Glass with the city, and he's in the auditing department, which they go over these processes to make them better. And we met with him about 3 months ago, and he said, we want to have this done by Labor Day, and we want your input. Well, the latest thing is they're going to do a survey. They're going to send out a survey. You guys, They're the leaders. They need to come up with this thing. They need to get these people in a room, and we could hammer this thing out in about 3 days. But I think it goes back to your point. Who takes the credit? They don't want anybody. And I say this is the biggest thing I've run into with these people. They don't know what to do because they don't know what to do. They have no clue. They have to rely on somebody else that's either in their party or somebody they can trust or somebody that they're funding. They just cannot get out of their own shadow on that stuff. So that's my rant about trying to get things done. And it's why I think people do end up running for office, is because the person that's supposed to do this stuff for them won't even speak to them, or you can't even get a hold of them. And that's why I'm a big proponent of, hey, if you can't get a hold of your guy, then what are you needing for? Get another one, get a new one. I think we should vote all incumbents out. We should start that on this show tonight, that no incumbent gets voted in. I don't care who the other guy is, just vote for him. Start that trend. Yeah, that's
good night, Robert.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Get rid of permits. Well, that's, my thing doesn't get rid of them, but it sure makes it a heck of a lot easier and streamlined. So anyway.
So will that fall under Diego when he's Secretary of State? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Permits. No, that's a
I want him to fix the form for people that run for independent. That thing's illegal and it's wrong and it's terrible, but we'll see if what happens. So
his mobile Secretary of State office can handle it for you.
Yeah, they'll steal the wheels off that thing if it comes to Marshall. It's like it'll be the last stop. Saving that last stop for Mars Hill, because they're going to be there. So, all right, everybody, we've had we're going for a record of just us talking, but we don't usually get a talk like this. So unless I forget to push the button to end the show like last week, so that was classic. So this week I'm ready. I got a button pushed here. So, all right, everybody. Next week, big show, and then we're going to try to get Lucy's friend and our friend of the show, Andrew Horning, on, and we're going to learn a little bit about the Constitution, and then Mark's going to tell us how he's wrong. So,
hey,
it'll be fun.
And I did forget to ask, when are they voting on?
It's Saturday. It's Saturday at I think 10 a.m. And so we'll know some things on pretty soon. And I think it's interesting that they're filling up 2 spots, one for the ballot and one to serve out the term. So I actually asked the question, technically they could have 2 different people. One could win this and the other one could win that. I don't know how. I don't think that would happen, but hey, that'd be interesting. If I was up there voting, I would do it. I'd work it out.
Curtis for Congress.
Curtis for Congress. Yep.
So
time for prayer and fasting and asking for God's favor upon Kurt.
Yeah, you know what? He commented about one door opening, and you think about it, he is. I tell people he's the nicest guy I know in politics. He's just a nice stinking guy, but he's not so nice that you can push him over. So that's, he's what do they say, shrewd like a fox.
Yeah.
And, whatever that saying is.
If he wins, it's a testament to, what does it say in the Bible? No weapon formed against you will prosper.
That's right.
Yeah, well, he had a little smile on his face like he knew something, didn't he?
I know God's got his back, whatever it is. That is a godly man.
So, all right, well, hey, and both of our folks that came on, and I wish them well. I wish them well and all that. And Tiffany, what is your panda's name there?
Meow. I know this is one of Michaela's old toys. I don't know. It was my cat.
Why is a koala bear not? Why is
That's a panda.
Why is a koala bear not in the bear family?
Why?
Because it doesn't meet the qualifications. It doesn't meet the qualifications.
Do you memorize all these dad jokes?
No, that one I stole right off the internet. But no, I made up most of those stupid jokes.
Wow.
I mean, pretty much. I got a whole little routine there of bad jokes.
At least you know why they're stupid jokes.
So I'll tell you, I think one of my Lisa likes a couple of them. So you got I like this one. It's about divorce. So did you hear about the 2 Gucci watches that got a divorce?
No.
Now they're Timexes. Oh, I know, it's terrible.
That's a good one though.
It is. Another one she likes.
Speaking of divorce.
Go ahead. Let me tell my joke first before you do the divorce thing. You got a divorce joke, or?
Yeah. I was waiting for your joke. Yeah.
Okay. What do you call a holiday decorations made out of $100 bills? Aretha Franklin's.
I know what that one is.
Yeah, that's a good one. One more. Do you remember which apartment Shakespeare's girlfriend lived in? Lucy, you might get this one. It was either to be or not to be.
Oh.
Oh, terrible, terrible. What?
Hey, can we talk about the conspiracy that Shakespeare wasn't really Shakespeare?
Oh, do you have a ghostwriter?
No,
So
literally.
it was
It was a front man. If you read the book, oh gosh, I hate my friend Liam Sheff. Official stories. Official stories exist to protect officials. So the title is Official Stories. One of the conspiracy theories that he goes through is that Shakespeare is merely a front man. It was more of a nom de plume and got kind of like shoved onto the persona of a kind of middle class type person, but it was actually somebody who was in the inner court and was probably a lord themselves. That was like calling out all of the corruption and the shenanigans in their social set.
It was literally the guy in the bushes whispering out to the guy trying to get the girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yeah, so and what you're trying to say in modern terms, he'd have a fake Twitter account.
Yeah, he'd be a troll. He'd be
like the Harrison Project or whatever. He's, he hates Republicans. All I know, he hates them. Used to be one, but he hates them.
Tiffany, I got to give the flip side of your story. I was with my son earlier today doing some stuff to get ready for school tomorrow. And we saw a guy who's a football coach. And I looked at him and I looked at my son and I said, I think I could beat him in a foot race. What do you think? My son said, maybe back in the day.
He didn't have a whole lot of faith in old dad, did he?
Yeah.
It's like is that what you told him about you were a lineman back in the day? It's like I was a good protector. I'm a good protector. That's great.
So to divorce. So I'm going to a divorce retreat on Saturday at St. Elizabeth Seton in Carmel. It's a day of reflection for divorced people.
That I'd rather go put toothpicks in my eyes than do that. So what are you hoping to gain, Tiffany?
So
I like to lay down on the couch and we'll talk.
I figure it will be either a wonderful healing journey of acceptance and moving on, or the biggest Catholic meetup ever.
Oh, I see. So you're supposed to, it's like going to your class reunion and hooking up with the old classmate. I got you. I see where you're going.
But just like, Catholic people, they're all divorced. I mean, we're all admitting our sins and coming together with our flaws. I know, right? And just going to kind of move forward from there. I'm excited.
All right. Well, we'll see how that's better than Tinder, right? You don't want to see your neighbor's husbands on there.
So are they bringing wine to this thing or yeah?
We don't even have communion wine anymore. Probably not.
Man.
What's up with that?
They're serving lunch though. So yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I would not have wanted to be an altar boy today.
It's not like it used to be, man.
All right, say goodnight, John Boy. this is starting to turn into the after show conversation. So
good night, Mary Ellen.
Thanks for coming on, and we'll see y'all next week.